That's right. They're the pawns of the New World Order on the chessboard. You've got Iran, which is another situation altogether. In the covert black operation, which was put in place to destabilize Iran and achieve regime change. This was leaked in 2007. It was announced that the CIA would be funding the Iranian militant group Jundullah, which has carried out terrorist attacks in Iran to destabilize Iran. This group was formally headed by the alleged, obviously we know he wasn't the mastermind, but he was one of the patsies, the alleged 9/11 mastermind, the person that the U.S. government has masterminded 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. He was the leader of this organization, and now the CIA is funding it to carry out attacks in Iran. Notably, an attack on May 29th, right before this whole controversy about the Iranian election happened, where a mosque was bombed in Iran that killed 25 people, and it turned out that Jundullah were behind it.
All right, stay there. Let's do 5 more minutes and finish up with this on the other side, then your phone calls. Paul Watson, he's the editor and chief over at prisonplanet.com. He's with us, and he's doing a big master article about all this. It'll be up the next hour, where it just shows the mainstream news, CIA's admission. This is a fact. Al-Qaeda is New World Order.
The July 29th edition of Fox News Channel's Dayside program revealed that the so-called mastermind of the 7/7 bombings, Harun Rashid Aswad, is a British intelligence asset. Former Justice Department prosecutor and FBI terror expert John Loftus exposed the fact that Aswad was being protected by MI6 and was clearly under their control.
Aswad is believed to be the mastermind of all the bombings in London.
On the 7/7 and 7/21, this is the guy, we think.
This is the guy, and what's really embarrassing is that the entire British police are out chasing him, and one wing of the British government, MI6, or the British Secret Service, has been hiding him. And this has been a real source of contention between CIA,
Hold on, John.
Justice Department, and Britain.
MI6 has been hiding him. Are you saying that he has been working for them?
Oh, I'm not saying it. This is what the Muslim Sheikh said in an interview in a British newspaper back in 2001.
So he's a double agent, or what?
He's a double agent.
So he's working for the Brits to try to give them information about Al-Qaeda, but in reality, he's still an Al-Qaeda operative.
Yeah. The CIA and the Israelis all accused MI6 of letting all these terrorists live in London. Now, we knew about this guy Aswad. Back in 1999, he came to America. The Justice Department wanted to indict him in Seattle because him and his buddy were trying to set up a terrorist training school in Oregon. The headquarters of the U.S. Justice Department ordered the Seattle prosecutors not to touch Aswad.
Hello. Now, hold on. Why?
And that's, well, apparently Aswad was working for British intelligence. Now, there's a split of opinion within U.S. intelligence. Some people say that the British intelligence fibbed to us. They told us that Aswad was dead, and that's why the New York group dropped the case. That's not what most of the Justice Department thinks. They think that it was just, again, covering up for this very publicly affiliated guy with Al-Mujarouf. He was a British intelligence plant.
Our CIA says, okay, let's arrest him, but the Brits say no again?
The Brits say no. Now, at this point, 2 weeks ago, the Brits know that the CIA wants to get a hold of Harun. So what happens? He takes off again. Goes right to London. He isn't arrested when he lands. He isn't arrested when he leaves.
Even though he's on a watch list.
He's on the watch list. The only reason he could get away with that was if he was working for British intelligence. He was a wanted man.
And then takes off the day before the bombings, as I understand it?
Yeah, and goes to Pakistan. The Pakistanis arrest him.
They jail him.
They jail him. He's released within 24 hours.
Because there's a war on for your mind.
Even if you're a good old boy who's been in black ops and staged terror attacks to beat the communists 30, 40 years ago, you should know things are out of control. The looting, the stealing, the grabbing the pension funds, the killing our own troops, hiring Al-Qaeda, using them in the Balkans in the early 90s and the late 90s against Serbia, using them in Africa, using them against the Russians in 79, staging the attacks to bring them in to get the war going. Brzezinski brags. Russia didn't invade. It was started with them. We get hit on 9/11. They have the staged attacks. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda would tell young people, get in the front line. then the U.S. would shell the front lines and not the main emplacements, and the troops wondered why. Then they would go pick up the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, pay them. The troops all witnesses. This was in San Francisco Chronicle, Times of London, headline, Airlift of Evil. That Google Airlift of Evil, flying Taliban out to safety. I know Paul's doing a story, but let's put that original Times of London up for people. All flown out over the mountains into Pakistan. They'd done their job of playing the part of boogeymen. Now they start the new attack on the Pakistani government to destabilize it, to where anytime the globalists want, they can overthrow that nation and have a crisis, then diminish India and China. So it's the grand chessboard, and Brzezinski and others write books bragging how they're doing this. This is all public. It's very, very funny to them. Now, Paul, you were going through some of the latest history of this and some of the other points in a big article. Do you know the title of this master article you're going to put out? When I say master article, it's going to have kind of the whole history in there, kind of a lexicon or encyclopedia of this. When is that going up today at prisonplanet.com?
It's going to go up as soon as I've had my dinner, Alex.
Okay, good.
It's taking a while to put together.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to sit back for 5 minutes. Start at the beginning, because you've been interrupted a few times by breaks. Start at the beginning of what Al-Qaeda, Taliban are used for worldwide, who they are, and just run through the gamut of what they're doing. And then that data article will be up there at, I know it's already midnight over there where you're at, so it'll be up there about, I guess, 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time about, but go ahead. No, actually, I guess it'll be up about 7 or 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Go ahead.
Oh, it's 10 past 6 now, so yeah, probably about 8 o'clock. Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, all these groups, and it's not all one group. Obviously, Al-Qaeda is a Western creation, the name is, but all these Sunni extremist terrorist groups are the pawns of the New World Order. They're moved around the global chessboard to the different countries where the New World Order wants to destabilize governments and initiate regime change. It's funny because there's a board game called The War on Terror, which has come out in the last few years. And in the game, you can play as the New World Empire, and you have to maneuver terrorists around on this map of the world, and you can only invade countries where your terrorists are on the border of that country, so you have to move them into that country.
So they're even throwing it in our face with that huge board game being promoted all over TV with ads. You're saying even in that, it's the New World Order Empire, and Al-Qaeda is the fiery sword of absolute victory.
You hire the Al-Qaeda and move them into different countries. But it's based on fact, because we've just mentioned from being in Afghanistan to fight the Soviets. They then moved them into Bosnia in '92 to fight that war. After that, they were moved into Serbia, Yugoslavia to fight that war and to train the KLA. The Albanians were trained in Afghanistan by Osama bin Laden with the help of the CIA. That's on the record. And then after that, they were moved back into Afghanistan for the attack after 9/11. And now they've been moved into Pakistan.